Welcome to the Caregiver Reset, a place where you get to be human first and caregiver second. I'm Lena, a fellow caregiver and mom, therapist and advocate, and someone who knows what it's like to carry more than you've ever expected. This space is your village, a place to be seen, a place to be heard, and a place to remember that you're not meant to do this all alone. Together, we'll talk about honest conversations, small resets, and things like identity shift, grief, joy, and love. Take a deep breath. You're doing enough. And remember, your care deserves care too.
Your hands are tired, your soul feels worn, chasing the days since the crack of dawn. The mirror whispers, who have you become? A shadow of light or a rising sun? Reset your mind, reset your heart, hit the switch back to the start.
Every caregiver gives endlessly, but rarely receives. This episode introduces the heart behind the Caregiver Reset. Why micro rest, compassion, and nervous system safety matter more than perfection. This is a gentle invitation to begin again, even on your hardest days. So let's take a moment to think about caregiver overwhelm, the realization that you've been surviving instead of thriving and instead of living. We spend so much time thinking about and focusing on details, worrying about the future, and the endless to-do list and phone calls, the appointments, and the research. I remember when Zach first kind of got diagnosed, actually we're still chasing diagnosis, but I remember the first time I met another special needs parent and they said to me, don't try doing everything all at once. Don't try. And I remember thinking to myself, well, how? I want to work on having him walk and having him talk and having him, understand ABCs, right? But then I'm also fighting and dealing and navigating things such as, what school is he going to go to, or what therapies, or what's even really going on in his body and his mind. And I remember feeling so overwhelmed. I remember feeling overwhelmed when we were dealing with what resources were available in our community. I remember feeling lost. I remember researching caregiver, and a lot of caregiver spaces were intended for parents taking care of, or adults taking care of their parents. And I remember feeling really alone. I remember feeling overwhelmed with not knowing how to prioritize, how to understand what was important at the moment, what could take a back seat, because in that moment, it felt like everything was a crisis. It felt like everything was everything was a rush, right? There was so much urgency there. And I remember I felt like I was drowning, and I felt like I have my partner, Zach's dad, he's fantastic, but we were kind of navigating different spaces in that realm, right? He was doing a lot more of the logistics and keeping everything in the house running. He to this day still keeps the house running smoothly, and I'm so forever grateful for him. But there's another aspect of the caregiving space that I needed help filling out applications, knowing what applications to apply for, assuming that we didn't qualify for a lot of things. And even to this day, we're still battling that. And we just received another denial from insurance. And so it's navigating those spaces where we get so stuck and feel like there's no end in sight. We feel like we're just treading water. And if you've ever been there before, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. I used to describe it as feeling as if there's almost like a mountain that we're rolling a ball along that hill, right? Or that mountain. And you get to another point and you need to build a sense of community, and being able to kind of ground yourself in order to get that ball back up over that hill, back up over that mountain, so that you can keep going, right? And so that you can reach that next momentum. And so part of what I want to kind of talk about is being able to understand what a reset truly means. the idea of having these resets is that they're supposed to be bite-sized. They're supposed to be micro. They're supposed to be able to fit throughout your day so you can use them through multiple times a day. This allows you to ground yourself, to reset your nervous system, and it gives you a little bit of that permission and that reminder to pause. When we're thinking about that, we think about things that are practical, that are realistic, and allows us. One of my favorite ones is always just putting our hand over our heart. And if my heart is kind of beating a little bit fast right now, and so just taking a deep breath to slow that rhythm down, check in with yourself, noticing your thoughts. And there's so many different ways that we can reset, and being able to allow yourself to zoom out. I'm big, again, when we're thinking about that overwhelm, we are so zoomed in to all the things that we can't do, that we have to do, that we should do, that we forget to breathe. We forget what it's like to just be appreciative of the present moment, be appreciative of understanding this and appreciating the space that we're in right now. And so those resets allow us to zoom out, to take a look around us, to stop and smell the roses. And so this forces us to reflect, to restructure, to reprioritize. And I almost like to say and think about it as a recalibration, right? I also have a private practice where there's a lot of seasons in my career, and you know, with new extracurricular schedules, with new opportunities that come along our way, and changes in availability, both on my side and for my client side. I'm always in a season of recalibration. Every fall, there's a new schedule that comes out. There's a little bit of a break that happens in the summer and throughout the holidays. And so it's a natural rhythm for our schedule. I also want to prioritize and think about all the things that Zachary does, and being able to do our special needs football team, and be able to go to hopefully a music class come January. And so we have to adjust our schedules in order to accommodate that. We also have therapies that are coming along. And so how do we can't do it all. And so being able to zoom out, being able to think about, okay, if I just take a moment to breathe, to look at and prioritize and understand what's important, what matters, what can wait, we can get back to putting one foot in front of another again. And so why so often caregivers minimize their own exhaustion is because society kind of just gives us that compliment that we're doing it all. You're doing great. And it feels like we have no other choice. And we also, most importantly, don't want our loved ones to feel like a burden or guilty that someone else is responsible for them. Some may not be fully aware that someone's caring for them, but in most cases they are. And we're primed, right? We're primed as the person who's been elected default at the default carer for that person, for that loved one. It's there. We're almost given no other choice. And so we have to change that. We have to change the way and honor our exhaustion, talk about our exhaustion, and not in a way that gets everyone to feel down about themselves, or ways for them to, it's almost like that cry for help, and that's okay. It's okay to recognize that there are spaces for you to rest. When we are intentional about our rest, when we are making it a priority, we start to reduce the guilt around that. We start to build it into our rhythms and our routines. And we start to heal parts of ourselves that have been ignored for so long. And so thinking about that, thinking about how much you give to others. And some caregivers they're a caregiver full time, and they're not able to work, or there's not enough support systems that allow them to work, or the person is in too high of a need to be left alone, or again, there's no resources available for them. And so you may be a caregiver. You may find yourself being a caregiver 24/7. That's similar to a stay-at-home parent. That's similar to someone who's, in that round of clock care. And so without ever really being able to punch in and punch out. And so you're going to burn out. I've been there and I have support. I'm grateful for the support that I have, but I've still exhausted myself. I've still felt overwhelmed. And we're allowed to have those moments, but it's in those moments that we have to take back our control, take back our power, and say, enough is enough. I need to go rest. And this is what that rest looks like. Creating systems in place that allow you to build on the people around you, maybe joining communities that welcome you and understand you and hear you, so that it almost becomes you get to take turns, right? You get to take turns watching each other's loved ones and caring for them the best that you can, and building a system of support and a system of trust. And so that reset that we want to think about is maybe try silencing your notifications on your phone. Put your phone face down, away for 2 minutes. No one gets you but you. Using that as a time to reflect, to think, and to just be. So thank you so much again for tuning in for the Caregiver Reset. Thank you so much for sharing our space and walking alongside us in this journey.
Reset your mind, reset your heart.